Hello, my name is David. I'm with SanTan Solar, your one-stop shop for all your solar needs. Today on this video, we're going to be talking about two of the products that we sell, and they're very popular charge controllers. The two brands that we have are the EPEVER, a variety of this type. Usually we have various kinds of voltages for it, so this is just one of them. This is a 150 60 amp charge controller from EPEVER. And we're also going to be talking about another popular product that we have out here, and it's the Victron 150-100 amp smart charger. Now the SmartSolar charge controller, very unique. This particular one has a display that's been attached to it. Our discussion today is basically how to go ahead and monitor these things wirelessly using products like you have a battery sense. EPEVER has a Bluetooth dongle that you can attach to it. The product itself does have a Wi-Fi connectors as well. But right now we're just going to be talking about the Bluetooth connection so that we can do some local connection. That way you can see what the apps look like, and when you want to monitor your systems that are in your home or wherever you have them set up, that you can see the parameters of your batteries, state of charges, how much your PV is putting in, amps and volts and all that kind of good stuff. Some of the devices like the Victron, like I mentioned earlier, has a little like battery sense you can attach to them. And that tells you the state of the battery charge. It'll add the information to this. The Victrons themselves basically have the Bluetooth built into them. So there's really no other attachments to it except just to get your app on the phone and just to log into it. The little lights on the bottom here, right about here, of this activity. These are really well made and really tough and durable. They're great. You don't have to add anything to them. Like I said, you can add this to your battery bank, and it will generate a signal to the unit and where you pair it together. And then when you're looking at your monitor here or through your phone, you'll be able to monitor the battery, state of charge, temperatures, all these things. Now the EPEVERs, they are great machines. These guys here come in a variety of voltages. This is a kind of a big one. When we start getting them this big, they usually have a cover on the bottom and all your connections will go through there. You'll have to go ahead and connect the Bluetooth. Currently we sell the Bluetooth module, this one here. They have upgraded it to a different Bluetooth module. You will still need to have the cable like this and an adapter if you're going to use the newer ones because of this model here, because of the door. The smaller ones that have no doors but just have the connections like this, similar to what this has, you don't have to use that. You just plug in the Bluetooth dongle and then you just go from there. These particular ones that have this kind of door or this cover on it, covering up the connections, you'll have to use something like this or an adapter cable that'll have the RJ45 connection. So we're going to get into it, and I'll be showing you just how these work, and we'll do some demonstrations of how the phone apps work and what you can see with them. Alrighty, and that's just one way of helping you when you have your setup, that you don't have to keep looking at the small displays. They're great information gathering, but you can't really do a lot. It makes it a little bit tougher on these EPEVERs since they only have two buttons where you have to scroll through the menus and then kind of like off, on, and kind of like different button pushing you have to do. Not that it's bad, but it's just that it's a little more convenient when you have something like a Bluetooth on your phone that you can do it at a distance. As I mentioned earlier, we're going to be talking about two of the products that we sell here, the Victron SmartSolar charge controllers and the EPEVER Tracer Smart charge controllers themselves. Now, this particular model has a remote display, a little external display attached to it. Typically, these do not come on these models or any of these Victron charge controllers, only because a lot of people use their Bluetooth anyhow on top of this, or their Wi-Fi. This is just helpful so that if this is mounted in a space that you can see, that you can observe immediately what's going on inside without having to make any attachments at all. You can just use the display to see what you've got and also to make some adjustments. You've got some select and setups and some navigation buttons on this thing. This particular one, I don't have any solar panels attached to it, so you won't see any solar panel information on it. It does go over like the battery. I have a battery attached to it. I have a 12-volt battery for it. No amps because there's nothing running through it, but you get this information right away using these little remote displays, and they're really handy to have. Now, our focus of this video is going to be how these things look when you use your phone on the phone app for the Bluetooth connections to monitor both Victron energy machines and as well as the EPEVER machines. So when using the Victron Energy SmartSolar charge controllers, they have their own app. It's called the Victron Connect. So once you load that up, it's going to go ahead and immediately look for the unit. Now this is the unit that I have right here. right there. It's going to show up, and then it's already giving you some data on it. They've updated their software. What happens here is that you can get some information right off without even having to make the connection. But to get further in there so you can make changes, you just go ahead and tap it. It'll connect. See, that's making its connections. Now, currently, I don't have any panels attached to it, so there's no wattage whatsoever coming off of that because there's no panels attached. And you will see that it gives you the primary information of your solar, what voltage you're getting off of your solar panels, as well as your amps. Over here, you'll see the battery information. Right now, we know we have a 12.6 volt battery, the 12 volt battery system attached to it. No amps are going on right now because I don't have anything attached to it that's going to draw power. As soon as I attach something to it, to the battery, let's say, and I run something on it, it'll go ahead, like I have an inverter attached to it. The moment that inverter is on and using it and pulling, this will change. This will give me the amperage reading that it will be pumping out to that device. It's really a neat little system that they have. You can monitor the battery, your virtual load output that stays off, and of course through your relays. And you have relays that are, of course, these devices that you have attached and what have you. These will allow that to be shown as well. I did mention earlier that there is something called a battery sense that that you can get with these. We don't sell the battery sense devices, but what you can do is you attach those to the battery itself terminals, the positive, negative terminal. Just take one of the battery. If you have a series of batteries, just take one battery, attach it, doesn't matter which one, and the little device itself will pair to your Victron Smart Charge controller, which then will give you more information regarding your battery state of charge, temperature, and what have you. Clicking on the history, let's see here. The history, this will just tell you what you've been running. As you can tell, it'll store this information for you as it goes along. So today, obviously, we're not doing much here. Yesterday, when it was being run a little bit, you can see how much it was using when I had some panels attached to it. Lifetime total, of course, is over a course of time. I didn't have that record anything there. You can also share this information, which is really good. So you want to, go over time to see how well your unit was. The trends, you'll see those over here. But the history of how well your panels were producing, you can get an idea of how well they're producing, and what kind of wattage you're putting out, and what you're storing, and what it is giving out to your battery. So you can see down here that it was making some changes here to the batteries because the batteries are getting used up. A device is attached. This is what happens. And trends is just that. This will be like a graph that you will see that goes up and down. Right now, it's just not doing much of anything because we just started it up and there's not much to it. You can get it in increment mode. So if this thing's running all day, you can go ahead and check that out. It'll show you your watts. If I can get it to go down here, you'll have all this information. And if you have the solar voltage, you can have solar voltage information. That's kind of nifty. When you go to settings, this is where you can make some changes to your battery input. Right now, I just have a sealed battery, 12 volt, max charge is 40 amps is what I have. This is actually a 100 amp machine, so I can, it can go higher than that if it needs to. The battery preset is on a rotary switch. If you're using the rotary switch is, of course, that little guy down there. So you can have that. So when you put it in expert mode, for most installations, okay, you just go ahead and do that. You can make changes. Now this is a preset, so this is not, you can't really change your presets at this point. And that's what that little box screen set it to do. Very basic information. Put it on expert mode, and you will see more details pop up down here. You can get your absorption modes, automatic equalization, should you be using flooded and what have you. Temperatures, temperature compensation, your battery limits. You can go ahead and make all these corrections if you want. The battery preset is by rotary switch, or you can have user defined, at which point when you do user defined, you can make your changes. You can do your floats, and you can do the equalization. That's the great thing about this application, that you can make a lot of adjustments for that. The next one we're going to talk about is from the EPEVER, and we can show you how much that will give you some information compared to this one. Otherwise, this is a very unique, very trustworthy kind of application where I can go ahead and make connections really well. This thing really works well connection-wise, so you don't really have a lot of drop-offs from your Bluetooth. Next we'll be at the EPEVER, and we'll show you how that one works. Now, here we have the EPEVER trackers. This is their MPPT solar charge controllers. They are great machines. These are workhorse machines, budget friendly, and they do a lot of systems, such a variety of these things that can fit pretty much any other of the solar systems if you start building your modular system up. These are great ones. This is a 150 volt, 60 amp charge controller. So this is for a little bit bigger projects. The other ones that are like 40 amps, 20 amps, 30 amps, so on and so forth, don't have a cover on it like this would have it. That makes it easier for your connections just to go in. This particular one here, you have to take the cover off so that you can make the connections, even for the cable for your Bluetooth. Unfortunately, these do not have a built-in Bluetooth. These particular models do not have that. You have to add it on there. And to add it on there, you just have to get yourself a Bluetooth module, just like this guy. We sell these. It comes with a cable. This particular model has 2 ports. The other models just have the one, but that's okay. It's going to be an RJ45. You just plug into one of the 2 ports, make sure it's secure so it doesn't get yanked out, just like anything else. And then what you do is when you power it up, you'll be getting a connection light. A power light will come on to this particular one. The earlier models of the Bluetooth adapters were the blue colored ones. EPEVER has since moved on and made these ones since then. And then again, they have moved on and they still make these, but they also made a much smaller one, which just enhances the ability for this to just be less with the cable in it for the other models. These ones will always require some sort of cabling because of the cover. You just can't stick the other ones in there because there's just no room. You have to use an adapter. So these particular ones are just easy. They come with the cable, super easy to use. And then we'll just go ahead and we'll just fire it up and then we'll just go from there. There you go. It's going to do its little count. It's going to do its little checking, its self-checks as it goes through. EPEVERs then, as you know, will rotate through the menus while it sits idle. And whenever it's doing anything, if it's doing PV calculations, if it's doing battery charging or whatnot, anything like that, if you have loads attached to it via these connectors where you have like a relay or something like that hooked up, the other models do have a DC output for them, the smaller models. That's a great feature for these. The monitor is, of course, as you notice, is kind of on the small side. It's taking the battery. I do have a 12-volt battery attached. As you can see, there's no PV in here, just a little moon right there. So there's no panels attached, unfortunately, and I apologize for that. But our focus here is just to see how well it will connect using the Bluetooth. As you can see, it's powered up. And then I'll go ahead and open up my app, and I'll show you how well this works, okay? For the EPEVER, when you have the little dongle here going, what you want to do is just go to their website, the EPEVER website, and download in their software section the EPEVER pair. That's specifically made for this guy right here, okay? This particular model, you'll notice that when it does pair, the link light does not blink. It's left off. The older model, the blue ones, what they're called E-Box, those ones that have a link light that would twinkle or go back and forth to let you know what activity was going on when it was connected. These particular ones in the black here don't do that. They just have the power to let you know that it is getting the power from the charge controller itself. But that doesn't mean it's not working at all. So just be aware of that when you see this and this light does not come on. That's normal because they just updated the model. So when you get the software, just go ahead and open it up. You'll notice that it comes up here. It's going to give you both local and the cloud. The cloud is used for another type of service that the EPEVER does have for other devices that they have in their market. But for our purposes here, we're just going to go local for the Bluetooth, and we'll just open that up. Go ahead and open it. It'll search for the device that you have here. Ours is right here. It'll be the serial number that's actually on the device itself. Just go ahead and launch that. When it detects it, it's going to get the data from the device to see what you're attached to. And as you can see, it picked up the tracer that I'm using right now. And that's the model, the tracer, the 6515AN. And that's the model that I'm using right now. As you can see, it's showing the battery, because I don't have any panels. As you can see, there's nothing happening here on the panels. I don't have any hooked up. And as you can see, the PV, it will give you all the PV or the panels of what's going on. If it was hooked up to some panel, you'll see the voltage that the panels are giving you, the current, and of course, total watt power. The battery here is also, of course, telling you what is attached. I have my 12-volt battery. There's no current because I don't have anything attached to it right now. It's giving what it's estimating the temperature of the battery itself. It's telling you my capacity is at 58%. The max voltage that I have set is at 12.71, and 12.67 is my minimum voltage. Generally, it can go be a little bit higher. You can make changes to this, and how you would do that is you would just go to the, just like that, settings, and then what you'll do is you go ahead and you can have a variety of information here. Your device address, should you want to know if you have more than one of these devices in parallel or in the sync with each other, you can do that. Go back here. Battery settings is the most important one because that's the one you can actually make adjustments to. So if you have different batteries, chemistries, and different types of batteries you have, you can just go ahead and go into there. You can see that I have it set to user, but it's going to auto detect because I have it set to auto detection. It's going to look at my battery as a sealed battery. It's an AGM 115 amp battery. Okay, and it already has presets in here. I can make changes to this if I need to. Now, let's see, you go to advanced, you can see all the parameters that you have here. And as you see, these are grayed out. I can't make changes with those presets. This is for the sealed batteries. It auto detects, it finds out what the highs and lows are. All these parameters are configured with those presets. So you go back to basic here. Okay, so I have it set for automatic. I want it to go to 12, confirm. There we go. And I can go sealed. It's sealed already, so but if I want to go to user and make my own changes, I can do that. Now that I have that, you'll notice that some of these will change. If I go to advanced, I can make changes now. I can go around and set my parameters according to the battery specifications. This one here, the presets are just fine for the battery I have, and it works just fine for most times. You don't have to really do it. If you have it set to auto detect, it'll detect anything that goes through it. The only thing I would probably put it on user for is if you have a lithium batteries that have the BMSs built inside of them. When you have a system that has the BMSs built inside, a lot of times if your unit already has lithium presets in it, those presets can't be changed, just like I couldn't change the sealed ones. Usually you just go back to user and make your own adjustments because the chemistry and the BMSs might be set a little differently from each other, from one brand to another. Even if it's the same voltage and same amperage, it might have a little bit of differences in it. So going to user and making your adjustments a little more refined is probably the best way to go when it comes to lithium batteries. If you do use the auto detect for lithium batteries, if it has it in your system, just make sure that the parameters are as close as they can be to the actual specifications of the battery you're going to use. So we'll just go back to sealed. Let's go back to sealed, confirm. There we go. And of course, I like to leave it on auto identification. And you want to write that to it. Once you do anything like that, you can write it right to it. It'll pick it up, write successful. And that's when you make your adjustments too. You will make all your connections, all your parameter changes, and then you'll hit the right button. And what it'll do is it'll upload this data to the charge controller, and that will make it set so that when you turn it on and it's hooked to those batteries, it's already done for you. Very, very cool. Very, very cool little software that comes with it. Time calibrations, you can sync the time up of when it was started. You can sync the time. So now that your phone time that you're using here and the device, they're going to be synced together so they'll have the same time. You got your power statistics. Of course, this is like the history of the Victron that we had. It's very similar in that it tracks all the history of the charging as it went over for the days, the weeks, the months, and of course years if you have that, if they have a yearly charge on that thing. So that's this data information you could use. And of course your equipment information, it's going to tell you basically what you have, how many you have in parallel with each other or together. You're going to have your serial number for your device, and of course the software version should you ever want to make changes, or say EPEVER has an update for this thing. The way it's a really adjustable stuff for the keeping your unit updated software wise. And that's pretty much it. At a glance, you see all the information you need. A very good system for both the EPEVER and for the Victron. Easy to use, and it sure has a lot of convenience when you have to make parameter changes. You can see everything at a glance, as opposed to looking on those little LED screens. So this just gives you another option. With the EPEVERs, we use the bigger MT50 monitors, we explained in the last video, but this way just seems to be more convenient. You have your ability to to talk to the device wirelessly. It's kind of ironic because this is still attached wirelessly, but you can be away from the unit. You just mount this next to it. You know, it has little mounting screws that come with it that you can put in there for it. So wrapping up today's video was just a demonstration of how well the wireless Bluetooth capabilities of both these machines can work with the right equipment. Just keep in mind that the Victrons already have it built in. You don't need any extra equipment in order for you to connect to this with the Bluetooth. All you have to do is just download the Victron Connect software, and it pretty much does it all itself. You don't have any problems with that at all. With the EPEVER, the only thing you have to do is you do have to get the Bluetooth dongle. Well, it does have Wi-Fi and Bluetooth available. Currently, here at SanTan, we just have the Bluetooth capability modules that you attach to it. These do not have any kind of Bluetooth or wireless capabilities built into them, but they are built to accept any of the devices that you can add to it, the dongles or the adapters. That'll make these things great. The software works great, just as easily as this guy here does. The convenience of the Victrons is that it's already built in. You don't have to do anything. You don't need the external displays. This one has it. This was just for the convenience of just having it out there and demonstrating its abilities with a little bit more detail than, say, the EPEVERs. These EPEVERs are great, but as you can see, the information just goes and scrolls around. Just makes it a lot more convenient that you can be at the comfort of your couch, in your RV, camper, or your cabin, and you can just pull your phone out and see how well your system is delivering things. If you want to make changes, you can get the history of it, and you can see how much consumption that you have, and you can monitor all that. It makes a great way of monitoring these things with the convenience of having everything you can see in one shot, and that's on your phone. And that's, everyone carries their phone. It's a great way to look at it. Thanks for watching. I appreciate you visiting us here at SanTan Solar. Just stop by, give us a call. You can reach us at santansolar.com. Go to our website, and you can see some of the product that we sell for both the Victron and the EPEVERs. If you have any questions, feel free to give us a call. That way we can answer any of your questions. Again, thanks for calling. I'm David, and I'm with SanTan Solar, your one-stop shop for all your solar needs.